All right, well, little rain ain't bringing us down. We are still here in the backyard with Louis Corriveau, who doesn't know it, but is the unofficial lawyer of the Oh Dear podcast and our episode sponsor as well. So, Louis, the forecast was looking a little grim. We already canceled on you once, so thanks for coming. For just some described audio, we're sitting under a tent with a couple umbrellas propping it up right now. So we MacGyvered the hell out of this just to have Louis here. So, Louis, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. First of all, if you're going to say I'm your lawyer, I'm going to need a retainer. That's official policy. So,
yeah, and we gave you a beer. So
we don't have a dentist. What do you mean by retainer?
Oh, okay. Well,
that's a good one.
That just kicked off the interview. Awesome.
Attaboy, Dustin. Stay hot.
So, Louis, first off, we're excited to have you on because there's a lot of people out there who are huge members of the community. I think you're one of those guys that you're a huge member of the community and you're so humble and you don't really put yourself out there a lot. You just do it to do it. And people don't even know how big of a piece of the community you really are. So we're happy to have you. And start off, I guess, you're a Red Deer transplant as well. You come from the East Coast, which is pretty cool. But just talk about your time in Red Deer and what you do, both professionally and I guess if recreationally, if there is such a thing for lawyers.
I've been in Red Deer for almost 7 years now. I came here May long 2014, so that's pretty close to 7 years here.
Wow. Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Thanks. Lucky 7. Hopefully it's going to be a good year. Yeah, I've been here for 7 years. I moved here to start practicing law as an articling student at Warren Sinclair. And then, yeah, after I'm not busy working at the office, I play some golf. Well, I pretend to golf. I just suck at it really bad, but play some hockey in the winter when it's not COVID, and I like to ride my motorcycle once in a while. So,
oh, I didn't even know that about you. So that makes you even cooler.
Yeah, well, some people call me an organ donor, but
yeah, but that's important.
Yeah, but no, it's fun. It's good to relax and enjoy the countryside. It's quite beautiful out there. So,
what kind of motorcycle do you have?
It's an old 1980 CX 500.
And we all know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, one of those. Yeah.
That's a nice one.
500 horsepower, right?
Yeah, kind of. Not horsepower. CCs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it, Kev. Same difference.
Yeah.
Same difference. Yeah. But no, exactly. And then I like to volunteer with the Piper Creek Optimist Club. I used to be on the board of. Used to be called the Youth and Volunteer Center. Now it's called the Youth HQ, which also has Big Brother, Big Sister, Boys and Girls Club. And I'm also the president for the French Canadian Association in Red Deer.
Wow.
Cool. So
yeah, didn't know that
I'm learning lots here today.
Yeah. So I've been the president for a year, board member with them for 2 years now. So no, it's really good.
Are you fluent both languages? French and English?
I actually grew up French Canadian. English is my second language. Yeah.
So we'll redo this interview in French then, and we can open up to a whole new demographic, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Oui.
Yeah. So you're from New Brunswick. Talk a little bit about that, because I know we have about 30 listeners actually on the East Coast, mostly my dad's family and friends, but we do have them, so they'll be pretty excited. And I assume with you being on here, we're probably going to have a couple more. But what is that like? Because tell us exactly where you're from in New Brunswick, but then coming from small town East Coast to Red Deer's it's still one of the biggest cities in Alberta, so it's got to be quite a change.
No, absolutely. I grew up in a small town called Clare in New Brunswick. If you ever look at a map of New Brunswick, it kind of has a square shape and it has like this weird little panhandle part of it. I grew up in that little panhandle there, just squished between the state of Maine and the province of Quebec. It's about 10-minute drive, let's say north to Quebec. So can you go get beers at 18 and go to the gentlemen's club there and all that? But
what's the drinking age in New Brunswick?
19.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 19. So we got an early start, just crossing over to Quebec, a quick 10-minute drive. And and the state of Maine is actually just across the river, kind of Red Deer North, Red Deer South. My parents' property was right on the river, so you get out every morning, it's just the river and then the state of Maine right there.
And then you come to Red Deer.
Yeah.
And there's a field.
Yeah,
and then there's another field.
exactly. It is quite a different landscape for sure. I grew up northern New Brunswick. It's kind of all hills, and it's in the Appalachian Mountains, right? So it's kind of not hillbilly country, but kind of, it's everybody's a lumberjack or works in a chicken farm or potato farm or that kind of stuff. So it's pretty different landscape for sure. But in the fall, I do miss the colors, the colors. But there's something. I remember the first time I came out to Alberta in 2012 to work a summer job. I just couldn't believe how open things are. Right, just it's flat and it's just
nothing's open anymore.
No, yeah. But just the open space, it's quite interesting that way. But but also do miss certain things for sure.
So we know about your roots now from being out east. So why and how did you get to Red Deer? Like, why Warren Sinclair? How did that come about?
There's different versions to it, to be perfectly honest, depending who you ask. But
Well, Louis, we're asking you.
yeah. No, because I know you guys know the guys that could tell a different story. But no, I after doing my undergrad at the University of Ottawa, I went to law school at the University of Moncton in New Brunswick. The University of Moncton is a Francophone university, and there's also a law school program there, because in New Brunswick there's 30% of the population that's first language French. So there's a need to train lawyers that understand, obviously they're lawyers, but also that can practice it in French to basically better serve their clients. So went to law school, got accepted, applied, got accepted. First day I get in there, I'm sitting there, it's like that first initiation. Everybody's, trying too hard, wearing a suit. I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And then this guy walks in, this tall guy with long hair, and I'm like, oh, who's this guy? Whatever. I start talking to him, huge Anglophone accent. I'm like, okay, where's this guy from? He's like, oh, I'm from Red Deer, Alberta. I was like, first of all, I've heard Red Deer once on a map. Like, I've heard of it before. Have no idea where it is, right? He's like, oh, then anyway, so we became really good buddies. For those that know him, it's Michael Sinclair.
No way. I haven't heard this story. That's awesome.
He's a lawyer at Warren Sinclair as well. So we became good buddies, drinking buddies, to be perfectly honest, in law school. And then at the end of the first year, had just done through a breakup with my girlfriend at the time. I didn't really have any plans for the summer. It was 2012 in Alberta. Mike was just saying, hey man, you should just come to Red Deer, find yourself an easy job, and we'll just party all summer, hang out in Red Deer. So I was like, that sounds great. So anyways, long story short, I find a job, tell him that. And then he says, hey, my parents offered if you want to stay with us, there's an extra room instead of shacking up with random people for 2 months, right? So show up at his parents' place. And for those that don't know, Don Sinclair, Mike's dad, is the Sinclair of Warren Sinclair. And I got to know them that summer. And then one night, this is Don and Mike's version, is that I brought Don out for beers and got him drunk and convinced him to give me a job. And my version is he said, you want to go for a beer? And then I saw an opportunity and asked for a job. So yeah, no, that's how it happened. And then that was after first year of law school. And then during the summer between second and third year, Don called me and said, hey, the firm's offering you a job if you want to be an articling student. And I accepted it and came here 2014, and here I am 7 years later.
And you haven't looked back, hey?
Haven't looked back.
So are there in Red Deer here, are you the only Francophone lawyer, or are there quite a few lawyers that can do law in French?
I would say I'm the only French first language lawyer, but Mike Sinclair and his brother John Sinclair at our firm also went through the University of Moncton to law school, so they would be able. They're perfectly bilingual, yeah, for sure. So they would be able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, Red Deer's never struck me as a French rich community, but I guess
Nope.
they're out there, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I get some opportunities with a lot of clients, a lot of people from either they're Franco-Albertans or, expats from Eastern Canada that have companies or whatnot, and they need a will, real estate, whatever, right? Business work, corporate work, divorces.
So that's a question we should ask. What do you actually specialize in? Like, what do you specialize in, and what do you most enjoy to do?
Walsh is upset. He was ready to ask that, and Lund jumped in.
Just jumped right in.
You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick on the draw,
I was
Kev.
sitting here like this. You're always
You're always sitting there like
You
this.
might
How-
have a
how am I
domestic
supposed
dispute
to
to
know?
settle here, Louis, right now. Yeah.
Well, guys, I have enough attention to all of you equally, so take your time.
It's okay. Deal with Ryan
You'll get
first.
your turn. You'll get your turn.
Good luck beating that question, Kev.
Oh, he just lawyered the shit out of you, Walsh.
It's like the Wedding Crashers scene right now.
Yeah.
Me and Walsh versus you two.
Remember the crab cakes?
Kev, sustained.
You even remember the question now? Yeah.
I do. What I specialize in. Well, here's the thing though. You don't want to say, hey, I do this only, and then people think you don't do other things, right? I tell people, call me, and if I can't help you, I'll find you the person to help you, right? Our firm, we have about 18, 19 lawyers. Honestly, we do most of everything under the sun, other than criminal defense law or high-end immigration stuff, right? Because there's not a federal court here, so there's not really a lot of opportunity for work for that. But other than that, call us. We'll be able to help you for sure. I mean, yeah.
But do you have an aspect of law that, I don't know if the words enjoy, that whether you feel you're best at or you enjoy the most, you know the most about?
Well, I mean, I'd be lying to say that I know a lot about something, because every day you feel comfortable and then a client calls you and you're like, wow, okay. Let me look into this, right?
Never heard that one before.
Yeah. And sometimes it's similar to something, but you got to be careful because you don't want to get in a rut and give bad advice every time. But I do enjoy, to be perfectly honest, I enjoy doing the estate planning for people. You know, it's a bit morbid for people to talk about their death and if they're going to be incapacitated and all that, but at the end of the day, I really enjoy it. I find they're very important documents because we get calls from people say, hey, my dad, Alzheimer's, no power of attorney, the bills aren't getting paid. What do I do? So, well, you gotta get a court order to become their guardian, and it's a 6-month process, and it's really unfortunate. But to finish off my question earlier, really specialization, what I concentrate on is separations, prenups, and cohabitation agreements, real estate, and wills.
I specialize in separations too, actually, in a different way. So yeah.
Is that right?
So cohabitation, would that be London Ted?
Yes. So here's the thing: in Alberta, you can be
Don't give him any ideas.
we need
please.
answers. We
Please
need
don't give him
answers.
any ideas.
in Alberta, you can be considered common law even though you're not dating. In your case, it would be, you're not related, so you can definitely be considered common law. Ted, we need to talk later.
Yeah.
Wait, this is a legit question though. But he's paying rent, so doesn't that nullify all that common law stuff?
Doesn't matter. He could argue that you're getting rich on his back because you're accumulating equity in the house.
Yeah. All that
Getting
Ted
rich.
Emmett money. Yeah.
Right.
So I have an actual question, and going back, let's keep the learning going here. I didn't know if we'd get lawyer tips or not, but how often do you think, an individual, a couple, whoever it is, should update their will? Is there like a recommended timeline on that?
It really depends where you're at in your life. Like Dustin's been 7 years since he hasn't updated his. He should probably look at it.
Yeah, and he just
Call
had a
Paul.
kid too. So
Better call Paul. No, it's really a where you are in your life, right? If you're a young couple with no kids and you do a will and you leave everything to, say, your mom and dad or siblings, until you have kids, you don't really have to change it unless I don't know, your brother pisses you off and you want to cut him out of your will. But once you have kids, I mean, by law, your kids would get the money. So if your will says something else, your kids could sue your estate and get the money, right? But most people, what they do is, what I see personally is, once they have kids, that's when they think of getting a will and doing that. But every 5 years, you don't necessarily have to go to the lawyer, but every 5 years kind of sit down and say, is this what I want still? Does this make sense in my life right now? If it does, put it back in the filing cabinet or the waterproof safe and wait another 5 years. Because at some point in someone's life, you know, either your kids are young, you got to name a guardian, but once your kids are adults, maybe you want them to be named in your documents to be your executor and all that. So,
Lund, I believe you had another question.
it was Kevin's question, actually.
So Kevin's got 3 kids.
Yes.
Which
That he knows of.
Which kid should he leave all his assets to?
Well, it's hard. I mean, your kids are young still, right? So typical would be equal shares. But I mean, if you've got a favorite, just give them money while you're alive.
Play the favorite.
And don't tell the other kids, right?
It's true.
I mean, that's the thing.
You won't be able to leave any of them your clothes, though, because they'll all be too small for all your kids when they're grown up.
No, most of my kids are pretty small, so
He's been feeding him caffeine since day one. So
Yeah. I'm not talking about
to stunt their
tomorrow.
growth.
So, Louis, I'm glad you brought up the revisit your wills every 5 years. You know, I saw a lot of times where maybe life circumstances hadn't changed for some of my clients, but over time you accumulate more wealth and more assets. And it's important, like you say, to check in and go, okay, really, what do I have that would be divvied out, you know, if I were gone tomorrow? And a lot of people kind of overlook the wealth that they've grown. So very important to see it again.
No, you're right. I think it's important to look at, especially if you have business partners, and not to get too technical, but if there's a shareholder agreement in place, the shareholder agreement would overrule the will to an extent with how the shares work. But you could always mention, well, there's a shareholder, I want you the executor to respect it. But also, yes, the wealth, maybe you're, especially, you know, when your kids are young and you have a lot of money, maybe leaving $1 million to each of your kid at 18 is probably not the best idea. So because if you don't have a will, and assuming your wife's not there, then your kids get everything in equal shares. If you don't have a will, there's no one name as a trustee. The money's released at 18.
Right.
18-year-old Louis with $1 million would not be here today.
So shifting back a little bit to when you mentioned not really any criminal defense, you guys don't do any criminal defense in court. Is that right?
Correct.
So would that be, you know, for the average person who knows nothing about law, how similar is it to Suits? On TV, you watch Suits?
I've actually started rewatching that the last couple of days just because we booked you to do the interview, and I started thinking about lawyers, and
That's how you do your due diligence, hey, Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Legally Blonde to prepare for this interview.
You know what? Yeah. If you're going to watch something, Legally Blonde is probably better.
So you guys don't do a whole lot of defense in court. That's what that means?
Well, it depends. It depends what kind of law you do. So we have lawyers that do mostly what is called solicitor work. So your corporate commercial, your commercial financing, kind of what when Lundy's clients need a lawyer involved in their transactions and all that. And then you've got the residential and the wills. But then you've got our litigators. They're the ones that are going to do the commercial litigation side of things. So one of our corporate clients, let's say, wants to sue someone that's not paying their bills, right? Well, our litigators will do that. And also employment matters for our clients and all that. So if they want to fire someone or someone got fired, things like that. Yeah.
Okay, before we move on from Suits, because I love that show.
Yeah.
Who's the Harvey Specter in The Office?
I don't know. Those characters are very
Made up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You mean you can't go from selling weed to being a lawyer in a matter of 16 minutes?
that'd be nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you smoke enough of it, you probably can.
Yeah.
So we've talked now about Louis the lawyer. I apologize if that catches on because that's actually a terrible nickname. But let's talk about Louis the person. I know I can't speak for any of the other three guys. I met you specifically through the Piper Creek Optimist Club. And a little embarrassingly, I still remember. It's one of those things that I just every now and then randomly think about at night because I ran into you at the Arkells concert in Calgary. This was probably a good 4 or 5 years ago.
I don't remember that. Good for you, though.
Pretty new to the club. You came up and just started talking to me. Hey,
Ted was
really
stalking
friendly.
you and pretended that he talked to you.
No. Well, if you've let me finish the story, you'd know that it's actually the opposite. Louis came up, started talking to me, and this is going on. I had no idea who he was at all. And he's being super friendly and going. And finally, it's like one of those times where you have to bite the bullet. I was like, sorry, man, I can't quite like put a name to your face. He goes, well, and then as soon as Mike Sinclair walks up and immediately clicked to me who it was. I was like, I could have faked it for like 12 more seconds and had to avoid that because you look so hurt too. So this is just my opportunity to say I'm sorry for that. And I think about it all the time still.
Okay. Well, if it makes you feel bad, well, I did not remember that. That moment was erased from my memory.
Yeah, that apology wasn't for you. It was for me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. To yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so I feel
now you can
better.
stop thinking about it.
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly why I did it. But so you have been part of the Optimist Club for a long time too, and we talked about it already a couple episodes ago. But you've been on the board now a couple of years, and you're leaving a pretty cool legacy with this scholarship that's going. I think there's a couple months left in this first year. Just talk a bit about that experience and what that's been like for you, because I know Walsh and I are on the committee for that too, and it's been a pretty cool thing to do and something different that we haven't done before.
Well, I remember starting it, I think it was at the beginning of my time on the board with Piper Creek. Dustin was still on the board then, and I can't remember who brought it up, but someone said maybe we should look into getting a scholarship or some kind of award. And I know Ted kind of said, yeah, that would be great. I think that's a good idea. And then I remembered not long before that meeting, I talked to one of the lawyers at Warren Sinclair, Chris Warren. He's involved with the Rotary Club, and he had mentioned that he was going to be part of picking the winners, or he was part of the process. It was just random, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that he's part of that. And then the opportunity kind of came up, and I said, yeah, I can look into it. And I went talked with Chris and got some information, and then eventually, slowly but surely, this year we kind of pulled the trigger on it and got everything together. Actually, then we formed this committee under our great dear leader, Mr. Lund.
Thanks, Louis.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'll allow it.
Yeah. Well, the guy in the suit over there is pretty threatening right now, so I'm gonna toe the line here. But Kevin was actually on the committee as well, and Kevin and Corey Kloss, they put together the kind of the criterias, what you need, the criteria you need to meet to be a recipient of this award, and they put in a lot of work, and it was good work. And then we pulled the trigger. Now it's out. Go look it up. If you think you qualify, make an application and we'll review it.
And I want to commend you too, because it was your idea to make this not even as much of a scholarship as just an award, right? For youth around the community who give back, and whether you're going to post-secondary, like university, college, anything like that, or just a program. I think the one example you used was even makeup school, right? If you're doing something to further your education or to move into a career that costs money, you're eligible for this scholarship. And I thought that was something I never would have even thought of. So good job.
Yeah, it's just sometimes a lot of those scholarships or bursaries, they are based on grades, and then they use the extra on top of that to pick out the winner, right? Well, these 5 kids, they all made A+. How do I get them? So for the kids that do involve themselves in the community and their school degrees aren't that high, Hey, Dustin, school degrees.
You remembered that, eh?
I do.
School degrees.
I laughed. I was driving when I heard that. I almost had to stop. So,
I'm the dummy on this podcast, but Lun's the dummy who lost to me in the game. So,
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Keep going.
yeah,
with your story, Louis.
I mean, you just got to admit it. That's all. But
You're gonna edit this, right, Ted?
Oh yeah.
so, yeah, no, that's the thing, right? Sometimes, especially our organization, we have a lot of professionals in our group, but also people from all walks of life. But we all do the same thing, as involve in the community to volunteer and to raise money for the kids. It would be a bit, well, not hypocritical, but it would defeat the purpose to not give a chance to all the kids, especially kids that do exactly what we do, is involve themselves and help other people. So it's just, yeah. So I think it's a great opportunity to encourage young people, teenagers, to get involved in the community, and also maybe we'll get future members part of the club. I think there's a part of that too, to always think about succession, the future.
I think we need a new president still, right, Lund? They can just jump right in.
Yeah. Right after high school, just come be president of the club. Why not?
You're leaving that seat pretty hot, so I don't know. It'll be
Big shoes to fill. I think,
yeah, exactly.
By the way, Dustin, I don't think you got Louis' joke about the guy in the suit. He's talking about Lund's bodyguard because he's the president.
yeah, I missed it all. I thought that Lou was just making fun of Lund for wearing sweatpants in the interview again.
Yeah, that's what I
Honest.
thought. You mentioned you're the president of the Canadian Francophone Association in
Correct.
Red Deer.
Correct.
How many members do you guys have?
We've got about 70 members right now. We've got about 70 members, but most of our activities are driven that if you're not a member, you can still come.
Right.
But
So it's more like provides a social aspect.
correct. That's straight up what it is. It's a long time ago. It probably had a bit more of a political goal to it, but now it's mostly just. Well, with COVID, it's impossible, right? But we'll set up, just like go grab some coffee somewhere, have a beer somewhere. The owners of the ABC Country restaurant are Franco-Manitobans, so they support us a lot. So anytime we want to do a Christmas dinner, or we also do in the spring, we do the winter carnival, kind of like maple taffy on snow and beans and just like traditional Sugar Shack food. They'll do it for us, and they're really, really helpful that way. But we'll go say, hey, let's meet there, have a beer, maybe watch a Habs game or something.
What's a traditional Sugar Shack?
No,
It
it's
sounds awesome.
No,
I can see Ted drooling from here.
A traditional, modern, I don't care.
Yeah.
You had me at Sugar Shack.
Yeah. Well, for those that don't know, it's just maple comes from trees, and usually, yeah. Well, you'd be amazed. I guess some people don't know that. So usually it's a farm, right? Someone will have 500 to 1,000 maple trees, and then they harvest the maple water, and then they boil it to create the syrup, all the levels of maple product. But also normally what would happen is that the people would have kind of like a log cabin or just a shack, but people could go and then they serve just traditional food like bacon, sausage, beans, pancakes, meat pies like tortilla and stuff like that, right? So it's really it's a fun time. It's a great time in the spring to go there when you're in an area of Canada that has that.
That sounded even better after you explained it. I didn't think Sugar Shack could sound any better. But,
So I know Teddy's got a game for us in a few questions here. I know Lundy's got one or two questions left, but my one question that I came into this interview and I really wanted to know was, not that lawyers have the like scary, oh, you're talking about lawyers, but like how, like when you're sitting at home, when you're sitting at home and you're looking at a document or like thinking about a will, or like how little or how big are you guys at Warren Sinclair? Like, if somebody has a question about law, do they just call the office or how does that work? Like,
you just you just call the office. You call the office, say, hey, I'd like to talk to someone. And either we're busy or the assistant will book you in, or if we're available, you'll get transferred directly. And
like, I'm sure there's people listening to this now and thinking, holy smokes, I don't have a will or you know, I don't have a plan for if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's just to call the office and they'll sort it out.
Yeah. Call the office and, you know, someone will talk to you. Will answer your questions, you know, if from whether it's a cost question or a process question. And if it's more related to the law itself, well, you'll be transferred to a lawyer or booked a time to talk to someone. And yeah, don't hesitate. Just call. There's no, honestly, I know it sounds cliche, but there's no stupid questions. I mean, there is some stupid questions.
Well, don't test Dustin.
Yeah, well, no, but at the end of the day, if it's in relation to your life, there's no stupid question. It's just it's maybe it's an easy answer for me because I do that all the time. I deal with it every day. But for that person, it is a big help, and you know that's I guess that's why we're in this, right?
So I guess where that question came from is, you know, I've seen or come across or had to fill out documents that contain a lot of legal terms that I have no idea about. Like, do I book a meeting and say, hey, what does this mean? Like, what am I signing? Or like, is that something you guys come across?
Yeah, we have lots of people that call. Sometimes it's, hey, I got to sign this commercial lease, and it has to be signed in front of sometimes the landlord wants it to be signed in front of independent legal advice, in front of a lawyer. Sometimes it's just in front of a witness, or they want us to review it, and then turns out it's, you know, Friday at 11:30 and has to be given to the landlord at 4 p.m. that day, right? And that kind of stuff. That's a bit annoying, but if we're able to do it, we do it, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, we get calls all the time. We have people that from someone wants their passport notarized because they're trying to work in Dubai, and some people that have separation agreements that's been prepared by another lawyer and they want to sign it. So yeah, absolutely. You call, there's no, like I said, there's no silly questions, and you'll be directed the right way.
And that was a good question. You took the long way there to ask it, but it was a good question. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple questions for you, Louis.
Go ahead, Lundy.
It's a two-parter.
Do I get to?
It's a four-parter.
Do I get to object mid-sentence if I feel like it's going the wrong way?
Yeah, you can object mid-sentence.
Okay.
Have you heard any good lawyer jokes lately?
I have not, but I have a good one though.
Okay, go. I want to hear a lawyer joke from a lawyer if you.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can tell it.
Oh yeah. So it's this guy. He has 3 sons, and he's an older gentleman, and he's, you know, sitting in his backyard thinking about his life, and so he thinks about his son. First one's a doctor, second son's an engineer, the third one's a lawyer. So he thinks about that, and then one day his sons come over, have a beer and whatnot, and he tells his sons, you know what, guys, I put you guys through school. Because of me now, you guys have good money, you have good careers, you're really successful, and I truly believe it's because of me. So I want you guys that when I die, I want you to put $100,000 in my casket with me, then that I'll be buried with, just so you guys get some skin in this game as well, like I did for you. I'm not benefiting from your success. So eventually, like 10 years later, dad passes away, and the will is like, remember what I told you guys, you got to do it. So first son comes up, and he's the doctor, and teary-eyed, and goes, he's sad because his dad died. He's not crying because he has to give the money. So he goes and lays out all this money in all just perfect $50 bills, just right on his dad. Tells his prayers, whatever, then goes and leaves. Second son comes, the engineer. Because he's an engineer, he's got the bills just like all wrapped up perfectly, and so he puts all of that there just perfectly. Says his prayers, walks away. Lawyer's son comes, goes on his knees, does his thing, stands up, grabs his briefcase, puts all the cash in the briefcase, writes a check for $300,000, puts it in the casket, and walks away.
You know, like I said, you may have lived in Red Deer for 7 years, but the way you told that joke and how long it was you're still an East Coaster at heart too. Like, I love it the whole time. I was like, oh yeah, this is like being back with my dad's family too. So, okay, good question, I guess. Lon.
Yeah.
Thanks. And the second part to my question is, in all your time at Warren Sinclair, do you have one meeting or one client that sticks out with like the craziest request or the silliest question or the...
Well,
ever heard of attorney-client privilege?
He doesn't have to name the client.
No.
I
won't
explain the situation or something.
Yeah, I won't name John Smith by name, but
Won't name Dustin Moore.
Dustin Moore. Yeah,
Forgot his wife's middle name.
Yeah, that's another story.
Yeah,
with Louis.
No, it's there's lots from different levels, right? From when you start as an articling student, you're just blown away by some things. But the one that really, really sticks out, and I'll remember for the rest of my life, it was a cold call. The receptionist calls me. She says, Louis, there's this guy here. I'm not sure what he wants. He wants to talk to a lawyer. He's kind of insistent. So I said, I'll go. So I go, meet with this guy, comes in. Seems like a decent guy. He's like, hey, how's it going? Good. You? Yeah. We sit down and he goes and says, so I'm going to start with this directly. He's like, so I got arrested with weed in my car. I'm like, okay, that criminal defense. Like I go, oh, we don't really. He's like, no, I'm okay with that. So the gentleman, the gentleman was a free man of the land.
Oh yeah,
like believes that the laws don't apply to him, and he went on this rant, and I said, hey man, how much of that weed you have left? Because that's good stuff. Like seriously. I was like, that's really good stuff you're smoking there. So it was really, it's a pretty funny, and I'm not going to get into the details because, you know, I don't want to be a typical East Coaster and talk for an hour. So.
Fair enough. That works.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got through all the lawyer talk. Now the sun is out. Now Lundy won't get sunburnt either, so that's nice. But we're talking about the scholarship already. It's May. It's grad season. This year for me, man, that's a while. Like, will be like 15 years since I graduated high school. And it got me thinking the yearbook and how nobody signed mine. So not only do we want to celebrate grad season a bit, Louis, but I want to see how well you can lawyer your way out of some of these questions. You know, in high school yearbooks, there's always the superlatives, right? Most likely to do this, or who was that. So let's hypothetically pretend we're all a high school class or colleagues, as Dustin would say, high school colleagues.
My God, let's keep bringing up the past episodes.
So we want to know, we just want to hear your best answer for all of these out of the four of us. No feelings will get hurt. We can take it.
Is there a right or wrong answer?
No, this is exactly just specifically what
fully
you
subjective
think based on what you know about the four of us. So we're going to call this the high school deer book. I don't know if I like that, but I said it.
It's I don't know what to think about that.
So I'm gonna start with an easy one. Who would you vote cutest couple? Dustin and Walsh or me and Lund?
Oh man, I would say you and Lund.
My feelings are
because they're
hurt.
common law.
Yeah.
Probably because
they're already legally a couple. So
It looks like Louis trying to get some business out of this.
Hey, we never told him not to.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go next. My first question: who is most likely to miss a meeting because of oversleeping?
I want to say probably Ted.
Yeah, I missed like 3 scholarship committee meetings in a row. So.
Fair answer then.
Yeah.
Who's the most likely to get ID'd when they're 40?
You.
I mean, you asked that. You asked that for yourself. So
Yeah.
you can feel
Shave your beard, man, and yeah.
I want to look young. Yeah,
That's true.
good one.
Most likely to get arrested.
Man, it's a close. It's a tight race, but I'm gonna say probably Dustin.
Yeah.
Was Lund second place?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So who out of the four of us would you think would be the teacher's pet? And there is a right answer to this one because there's 3 of us that would agree.
I want to say Kevin right off the bat because he's more of the, academic guy. But I want to say probably you, Ted.
I would be teacher's pet. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, happy Mother's Day to everyone is my answer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Ted.
Yeah, I honestly would think Dustin would be teacher's pet.
No.
He's
I got 50 in high school.
Yeah, but you're still a suck up.
Remember when we got
not
kicked
to
out
the
of science
teachers,
class for spitting spitballs?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely wasn't the teacher's pet.
I'm talking now though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd get 100 too. Who's most likely to act in the adult film industry?
Oh, that's a tough one. Lundy.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey,
Thanks, buddy.
There wouldn't be any acting.
I don't have any, anatomy references whatsoever, but I just think, the porn industry needs a new Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
He does kind of look like him a little bit.
I'm a performer, Louis, so I'll take it.
Hey,
I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
Who had most likely to win a Grammy?
Grammy. Well, who of you is
that
Let's
music?
say maybe
That's
for
music,
spoken
right?
word album is probably the best.
Yeah, who of you is for spoken word?
I play a recorder.
Like, does comedy go in Grammy? Yeah. Oh, Dustin. Dustin is one of the funniest guys I know.
I don't know if there's a
Alright.
Grammy for accidental comedy, but he would win it.
I'll take it.
Well, you could win for the producer because you just put a mic on him and you just.
Yeah.
All right, who's most likely to win the Hunger Games?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, I'm always hungry, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Hunger Games.
The battle to the death.
I don't know. I've seen Dustin play hockey. He's got a pretty mean slap shot. He's pretty strong. So I would say Dustin for the win for that one.
I'm on fire, boys. I'm on fire.
So here's one. This is a typical sorry to be so cliche with the yearbook ones, but who's the most likely to sell all their worldly possessions and move to the mountains and live off the land?
Well, I would say probably Kevin. Kevin enjoys the outdoors.
I've thought about it.
Do they have $200 dress shirts that you can wear in the mountains?
Don't need
or
'em.
What? Yeah,
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
you can still wear them.
I don't think any of us would survive in the mountains for very long.
I'd need to hire like a real man to live in like the guest house and like do all the hard stuff.
Look at what
think
we
that's what
accomplished
Lundy's
today
doing,
with this
Ted?
tarp.
He's got a real man living with him. That
Yeah,
what's
maybe.
happening?
I mean,
Yeah,
Ted
that's
knows
not
how to
what's
plumb.
happening here.
I think I know the answer to this one, and I hope you do too, Louis. Who is most likely to burn down the house while cooking?
Is it you, Lundy?
That's not my answer.
No, actually, I wouldn't say.
No.
Lund cooks some terrible pieces of shit meals, but
He
I've
won't burn
left
down
the
the house?
barbecue on a couple, well, at least once.
Oh, so that's you?
Or the oven.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Dustin, have you left the barbecue on or the oven on?
No. I thought he might go you though, because I've heard about your meals.
Yeah, just from Ted though.
That's who's likely to give someone botulism, but he does turn. Well, he doesn't even turn the crock pot on, so it couldn't burn the house down.
God, you forget to turn it all the way up one time, and all of a sudden it's like
That's how
the
you
end
make
of the
cold
world.
soup.
All right, out of the four of us, who would be the best mayor for Red Deer?
Best mayor? Because I take my politics kind of serious. I would say you, Kevin.
Oh yeah, then that's definitely not me.
Came to
then.
the right
Yeah.
place. Then.
I was really hoping you were going to say Ryan. I want to start that push. I want to endorse Ryan
Well,
for mayor.
Here's the thing.
I thought we were doing Dustin for mayor.
God.
I
Well,
guess
we got to sort that
Yeah,
out.
we could talk about.
Yeah.
We'll have an election just with the four of us, and whoever wins it can run for mayor.
I'll bow out. Hopefully you have this. I was going to ask this. I thought we'd all be wearing shorts. I thought it'd be nicer, but who would you vote nicest legs?
Hmm.
Yeah, if we had. Yeah, Lunda can pull his sweatpants up.
Nice tan line. I've never been put on a spot to judge a man's body before.
Yeah.
Well, then you haven't lived.
It's all the same. Yeah.
I'm going to say Kevin. He's a runner. He's fit.
They're
Smallest calves,
yeah.
though, we found out.
nice and short. Like,
But it's all muscle.
Allegedly.
Yeah, mine too.
okay, so I didn't have this one in my book, but
Well, then you can't ask.
You
it.
have a book?
Yeah, you don't have a book.
my notes on my phone.
Is that what you say when you read a book? You're just reading like a BuzzFeed
Yeah, I read a
article
book
off your
last
phone?
night. No, dude, that was Twitter.
Who, without knowing, who would be the best French speaker? Who would know the most French out of us four?
Huh.
That's not really a high school yearbook thing. Most
Yeah.
Who would you vote most French?
Well, who did French immersion?
None of us.
Yeah. I don't know. Who's... Yeah, I don't know you guys enough to be perfectly honest.
I think Lund would probably know the most French, wouldn't you?
I took French till grade 9.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It wasn't French. It was one class.
Yeah.
And I only did it because then we got to go to Quebec.
Yeah, and you
Nice.
went to Quebec with the group trip.
Yeah.
All right, so last one. Who would be voted most suitable to bring home to mom and dad?
Like I'll wear real pants if they bring me home to mom and dad.
Okay.
He won't.
Just picture that.
I would say you, Ted.
Oh, I'd say you're wrong, but
Well,
Is
you
it
have,
because
you
I'm
have
the
the
only
most experience, that's for sure.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
here we go
Yeah,
again.
fair enough. Yeah. It's like golf, right? It's easier the second time around. So, or third, we'll see.
Third time's the charm.
All right, no, you did a great job of navigating that. I'm sure you've
So you
never
guys
been
have-
tested harder as a lawyer in your whole life than right there. And
Yeah, no,
proud to say we're the ones who did it.
yeah, for sure.
So now that's a good place to end on. Louis, thank you so much for doing this. And, again, you're such a huge supporter of the community and us. I remember, when the Rustlers started up, you were a supporter of them, bought season tickets, went to games. And I think we were only 1 or 2 episodes deep here when Dustin kind of strong-armed you into partnering with us as well. And I know you said to me even, hey, no problem, man. It's important to support arts and culture. And now, like 10 episodes later, do you regret calling us arts and culture?
I don't. I'm still waiting for it.
Yeah.
It's like a growing leaf, right? It starts little and then it just one day it's going to blossom into a beautiful
Yeah,
flower.
we've need some sunlight because we've been in the shade.
Well,
way
you've had
too long.
water now, so, But no, seriously, thanks for having me, guys. You guys do a great job. You're always a good entertainment on my car drives home and back or to the office. And no, you guys do a great job, and it's really good to see you guys are doing so well so far.
Well, it's guys
Thank you.
it's guys like you and other people who are close to us that have reached out and partnered with us. But just for anyone who's still listening to this interview, because Lund took us off the rails there for a bit.
That's okay. That part got cut.
Yeah, he's going to edit this, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. But
We're not live.
in all seriousness, if you're looking for a lawyer, if you need law help, call Warren Sinclair and Louis. He'll point you in the right direction. There's tons of young lawyers. You guys have a great mix in your office with a lot of knowledge. So when you're looking or buying a new home, a will, anything you need, call Warren Sinclair. They're a great part of the community and use them.
Yeah.
I agree.
From your new house to your divorce, we'll be there.
One
I
of
can
those
just see
things-
you on a bus
Yeah.
bench beside Andrew Russell
Yeah.
with that quote.
Buy your house from Andrew, and when it goes to shit, I'm your guy.
Call Warren Sinclair. Tell them Lundy sent ya.
When your marriage turns pooey, call Louis.
Okay, we got to end on that. Oh my God.
That's pretty good.
And
Yeah.
that's it.
And that's a wrap.
Oh dear.